Welcome to the Psych Gym. I'm your trainer, Vanessa Perry, a former mental health therapist turned intuitive counselor. Much like a physical gym, in this space we'll aim to target specific psychological muscles and train them to be stronger. I'm so glad you are joining this gym. Let's hit the weights.
Hi, welcome back to the Psych Gym. I am recording this back to back from another one, and I have a little bit of a cold, or allergies, or I don't really know what it is. It's just annoying. I don't get sick very often, and this has been going on for about a week on like a mild level, so just enough to annoy the shit out of me. So good times, and it makes my voice sound a little bit weird. Anyway, I don't even know why that is something that I feel like I needed to tell you. Like all of a sudden, you're not going to listen because my voice sounds weird. Whatever, man. Anyway, I'm Vanessa, and today we're going to talk about something really raw. This is something that came up on my page the other day. I don't know. I woke up and I felt really snarky, or I don't even know if it was snarky. I just felt very motivated to be productive. And I don't know why I put snarky with that. So that's interesting. Real time, y'all. You're hearing me figure some shit out about myself. Right? Like that snark. I don't know. Anyway, and I had a meme. So ADHD people understand this, that you have like meme bank central. Like I have them organized, some of them organized in folders even, right? And they sit there forever sometimes. And this one had been sitting there because I was a little afraid to share it, to be honest. It's a concept I use in my counseling sessions all the time. But I know the internet has people who get upset about things, right? And especially when it comes to bad people in life, it's really difficult for people to talk about this topic. But I was like, you know what? Today's the day. Today's the day. And it wasn't even that bad, right? Like the only person who really talked to me really about it, publicly anyway. Sometimes I get DMs from people because they don't want to put public comments, which I totally encourage and is totally fine. I don't always get a chance to answer everybody's messages, but I feel like, just having that space there for people to drop their feelings in there is important. So just know that exists. But anyway, the only person who really got into it with me is my aunt, and I love her, and we're very respectful of each other. So I didn't even need to be afraid, right? So there's another lesson in there. Anyway, today we're talking about the people in our lives who have hurt us and how to humanize them. Please don't go. Please don't go. I know we hate this. Please don't go. I swear to God, it's perfect. It's like really, really good for you. We're not talking about our fictional villains or TV drama characters. We're talking about real people. The parent who made you feel small, the partner who gaslit you, the friend who disappeared when you needed them the most, the ones we maybe even still love but feel impossible to forgive. I hate the word forgive. I wish I didn't write that there. Sorry. Impossible to move past their transgressions is what I wish I had written. So we'll just pretend I did. The central question we're stretching into today is, can I still see someone's humanity even when they've been the source of my pain? I'm going to read it again and again. Please don't just stop listening. Can I still see someone's humanity even when they've been the source of my pain? I know you're probably like, no, thanks, Vanessa. I'm not into that right now. The villains suck, and I'm not going to give them any kind of free pass. It's not about a free pass or ignoring your valid hurt. It's about understanding how people, real people who we call villains, how it can change us when we stop focusing on their negativity. Let's start here. God, and as I'm saying it all out loud, I'm like, it's almost like I can hear the people being like, boo, this is terrible. This is the worst podcast you ever did. But I stand by it because I do this work every day and it does help people. So it doesn't really matter, honestly, what people think, because I watch it in action and it does work. So let's start here. In your story, you probably have somebody who's played the role of a villain. Maybe you don't call them that out loud, right? Because it's very superhero-ish to have a superhero and a villain. But emotionally, they're the one you had to survive, or the one you're still surviving for whatever reason. Here's the thing. Your nervous system doesn't care about their intentions. It remembers how they made you feel: unsafe, invisible, unworthy, afraid, confused. That's real. We're not trying to like gaslight ourselves again into saying like that these things aren't real. We need to validate that before we do anything else. Before we analyze any of this, before we stretch into empathy, we name what they did or didn't do, and we say that it mattered, right? It mattered what they did. It mattered what they didn't do. It shaped you. It's not small. I'm not at all minimizing anybody's pain by having this conversation. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll understand that it is about actually healing your pain, not minimizing it, but healing it so that it's no longer controlling your life. In therapy and in healing and in life, we eventually do have to confront this uncomfortable truth. The people who hurt us are often people whose stories, once we explore them, can make sense. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going to apologize through this whole thing because I feel like I'm going to like hurt you during this process. They've been shaped by trauma, loss, shame, fear, conditioning, unmet needs. That doesn't make what they did okay. Like I'm going to say it 100 times during this episode, but it makes it understandable. It isn't about letting people off the hook. Period. Full stop. We're not letting people off the hook. But it is about putting you back on solid ground, no longer being controlled by that person by proxy of the harm they did. For me, that's the thing that gets me going. We know that I love some spite fuel. Oh, I love it. Even like every time I say spite fuel, I'm like, I wish I had some right now. Like, I have nobody to spite right now, and it makes me unmotivated. Which is not true, but spite fuel is, oh God, I love using it. Anyway, so to think that somebody is controlling my life forever, taking my autonomy and spelling out how the rest of my life is going to be, no, thank you. That my freedom self theme is like, no, we are absolutely going to make sure you don't have any power here anymore. Thank you. Right? So like, if you can kind of sit with that a little bit, maybe that helps you, because it is what helps me. It's definitely out of spite that I will heal because I don't want my story to be something somebody else wrote with their stupid, horrible actions. I don't want that to be my story. I want my story to be written by me, right? I want my life to be guided by my heart and my soul, and I cannot do that if I'm going to always have it cloaked in somebody else's behavior. I'm going to be letting everybody who does horrible things to me or terrible things to me run my entire life. Can't do it, won't do it. I just need to be free from that. So if spite fuel is the thing that helps you get through the rest of this podcast, listening to it and understanding it, then let's do it. There is a very big difference between understanding somebody and excusing their behavior. Again, I told you I'm going to say this like 100 different times in this podcast because I really need you to understand it. Understanding is not excusing. We're not here to say, oh, they had a hard childhood, so it's fine that they emotionally neglected me. No. We're here to ask, what pain created this in them? What programming did they inherit? What parts of themselves have they never met with compassion or curiosity or just confrontation because it was too uncomfortable, or like just a little bit out of their periphery that they didn't even really know that it was a thing? And sometimes a belief system that even if you saw that somebody else was doing it that way, you were taught they were doing it wrong. And so that was your programming. Sometimes when we look behind the curtain of the bad guy, we don't find evil. Sorry. We just find someone who is unequipped, unloved, overwhelmed, and we've all felt that way, right? But these people who are doing harm, they feel it to a much higher degree, and lots of other things have happened in their brain because of it that didn't happen in ours. Most people who end up deeply hurting others didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be the bad guy. That's not how it works. It usually starts way earlier, quietly, slowly, unconsciously. Starts in childhood, right? Usually in environments where love was conditional, where needs were met with silence or punishment, where expressing emotions got you ignored, mocked, or made the problem. So let's picture a little boy, and we're going to call him Charlie because I love the name Charlie. And I saw a video the other day with Charlie McAvoy, and so he was on my mind. If you don't know who Charlie McAvoy is, he is a defenseman for the Bruins, and he's delightful. Charlie grows up with a father who only pays attention to Charlie when he performs. Good grades, polite answers, don't cry, don't talk back. He's super tough, right? Mom is physically present, but kind of emotionally disconnected. She calls him too sensitive when he's sad and too much when he's angry, right? Because mom can't handle her own reactions. But anyway, so Charlie learns early, if I need too much, I lose love. If I cry, I get shamed. And if I speak up, I get punished, right? This is what he learned. He was a blank slate, and this was written on him, and he had to do it for survival, because when you're a little kid, you depend on your parents. So you adapt so that you can survive. And it's, you don't have a fully, formed frontal cortex to be doing this from executive function. It is straight survival. So fast forward 20 years. Now he's in relationships, and when someone says, I need more closeness from you, his body panics, not because he doesn't care, but because closeness feels like danger. He shuts down, disappears. Maybe he blames them or, lashes out. Or maybe he stays with them, but he gets emotionally distant and like kind of passive aggressive, right? Like just really emotionally unavailable. He doesn't know how to hold space for someone else's feelings because no one held space for him. It's literally a foreign concept. Literally. Nobody has ever done it. And when nobody has ever done it, you then don't give other people opportunities to do it so that you learn this, right? Because you're not just going to learn how to do this. It has to be in relationship. So you're going to have to open up and let somebody hold space for your feelings. If nobody let you have them, you don't even know what they are. And this is what happens when I sit down with a lot of men. Anyway, he's not trying to harm, but he does. And the person who loves him, who trusted him, who tried to reach him, walks away hurt, confused, and maybe deeply changed, right? Like I being on the other side of this, there goes my wall, right? Like don't even bother putting yourself in this situation, because this is what happens. You open your heart, and then, these people just are disinterested in you, right? Because that's what it feels like. So, I mean, that's kind of a mild example, but it's the same concept that we apply to each person and situation that we need to release negative energy from. And that's really what it is. I've sat with clients like on the other side of this, okay. So people tell me this all the time. When I'm sitting in sessions, sometimes I'm like, it's super common, right? And like my clients are like, I don't know that that's super common. You know that because you sit down with people, right? Like I get checked by my clients sometimes, and I appreciate it very much because I need it, right? And they're directing their own healing, so they need to be able to speak up to me and say like, I don't get it, man. Like, and also that feels like an oversimplification to me. Can we go into it deeper? Right. So I get it, like that I have, a little bit more insight into certain people's things because I've sat with them, right? I've sat with clients who've cheated, lied, screamed, shut down, ghosted, betrayed people, right? Like I have sat with the villains, but underneath their mess, there's always a root cause that is not inherent evil. And there's always guilt and shame. Literally never sat down with anybody, probably because narcissists don't go to therapy, but whatever. Like true narcissists, not people who have narcissistic tendencies from hurt, y'all. Like I did an episode on that. You can't just call people narcissists because they sometimes display narcissistic traits. A true narcissist is very different than somebody who has been hurt and acts from hurt. Anyway, people who couldn't stay faithful because they never learned how to hold intimacy without panic. People who controlled everything around them because they grew up in chaos. People who shamed their kids, not out of cruelty, but because they didn't know what unconditional love looked like. I know I have that perspective that others don't, because I've sat with those people and really seen their goodness, and I've seen their hurt, and I've seen their story, their villain story, right? Like we've unfolded it. I've watched them struggle to understand why they do it. I've watched them cry and say, I don't want to hurt the people that I love, but I in the moment, I don't know what else to do, right? And that's why they're here. And, we talk about the pause and we try to do that. But, they beat themselves up. Why didn't I learn it? I'm so dumb. I mean, truly, if you could sit down, if you could be a fly on the wall with somebody who hurt you and they came into my space, it's not an excuse, but you might be like, wow, I just really didn't know all that was going on in there. So my compassion is not unfounded. I'm not just rose-colored glasses this whole concept. It's through humanness I experience that I'm having this compassion, even with the villains. But, also a lot of times I sit with the people who they've hurt, who are tired of giving grace, who are swimming in heartbreak. And both of them, right? Both of you deserve a story that holds the full humanity. It doesn't mean we treat it the same, though, right? It means that we learn how to properly assess people and hold only what emotions serve us about the stories. So that's how people become the villain, right? It's not really through evil. It's through injury that never healed properly and then like kind of scabbed over, to be gross about it, through trauma that turned into behavior and personality. Again, that's kind of an oversimplification right there, but maybe it helps it land a little bit. If they don't face it, if they don't work on it, if they don't own it, they stay stuck and the harm continues. Not because they're bad, because they're unhealed. Sometimes they're unsafe to be healed. They don't know how to do it. They don't have anybody safe to work these things out with. It doesn't make what they did okay, right? Here we go. I should have done like a counter of how many times I say this. It makes it human, though. And that matters because it lets us put down the story that the harm was about us and our worth, because that's what happens, right? You did it to us. You did it to us. It's about me. Like, nope, it's about them. So what about, when the bad guy is someone you love or loved? Ugh. It's the hardest, right? Like, I don't even want to do this section. I wish I didn't write it, but we're going to do it anyway. When the person who hurt you was someone that you loved or still loved, it like sucks so bad, right? Because you don't even want this. I mean, like, God, when you love somebody, you just want them to love you back, right? It doesn't just hurt your heart. It sometimes like attacks your identity. So this was, the reason why I don't want to read this is because a lot of it is my own stuff. You trusted them, you were open. Maybe you saw their pain and you try to love them through it, right? Like you dumped so much of yourself into this person. Maybe you even made yourself smaller to keep them close. You saw, but you felt like you understood their issues and found out later that that was like a mistake, right? That we shouldn't have done that, right? Because understanding why somebody's doing something is great and wonderful, but if they're not going to do anything about it and they're aware of it, then that's when we have to really walk away from it. It's different than if somebody who understands it and goes, oh man, I'm going to work on that, right? And so we can understand their villain story, but we can also understand that they're trying to become a superhero story. Totally different concept than when somebody is running around hurting people, unaware and defending it, right? Like how many times, right? Like how many times are you trying to be like, oh, but I see the good in you. If you could only let the good out, like, well, they're not. So stop. Right? So when this blows up, you don't just lose a relationship. You lose the version of you that believed love could fix everything. I know for me, for a long time, I was super jaded about relationships because of this. I trusted and I believed only to be mistreated. I felt like I couldn't trust myself to make decisions on men for a very long time. It's still questionable today. It's gotten way better. But my track record seemed to speak for itself. I internalized so much of what others did to me as some kind of reflection on me. If nothing else, my choices, right? Like my inability to make a good choice. The harm people can do, it can twist our identities up. I really get that. It's not a thing to shrug off, and I'm not suggesting that we do that at all. It's the reality of these situations is that realizing someone you saw as safe is actually unsafe. It does leave us spinning. And that is the truth, right? Like I'm holding that truth with you of that it fucks us up, more than anything. And so we're not trying to take away from that. We're not trying to say, oh, well, you're not that fucked up. Like, yeah, man, it really, really fucks us up. But to go back to that concept, do you want to be fucked up forever? Do you want that person's story to become your story forever? Well, then let's try to release some of this. And it's not forgiveness that releases it. It's just understanding the humanness and going, ugh, yeah, what a shitty story that they have, that's what they ended up being, right? They ended up being, not what they did to me and how I need to be afraid of that happening for the rest of my life, right? No. What we're trying to do is hold the complexity of this, right? Like it's not easy. It's not simple. The possibility that someone can love you and still harm you. Yeah, true story. Someone can be both wounded and wounding, right? They can understand that they are hurt and they can still be hurting others. That your memories of tenderness are valid and your boundaries are now valid, right? I think about like that whole, like, someone can be wounded and wounding. And I think about how when I had my wall up, right, like there were people that were trying to get in, probably, I think about there's, probably a couple people that I maybe dated that were not bad people, and I just couldn't get through it, right? I hurt them probably. I don't like to say that, but I probably did hurt them. Anyway, okay, let me pause here. I know some of you that are listening have been deeply, deeply hurt by someone. And the idea of humanizing someone who wounded you feels like betrayal of your wounds in your story, like letting them off the hook. We're going to keep coming back around to it, y'all. I'm going to keep saying it. Giving excuses for shit behavior and not honoring your pain. So we're going to be clear again. Humanizing someone is not the same as reconciling with them. It's not the same as forgiving them. And it's definitely not the same as putting yourself in harm's way again. Sometimes we humanize for us so we can put down the weight of bitterness, or at least shift how we're carrying it, so that we don't have to be so hardened by the harm that we forget like our own softness and our own selves. It's possible and healthy to say, what you did was not okay. I will never let it happen again. I will not be close to you. But I also see that you are not in as much awareness as I thought. Your patterns of behavior have a root that I can't experience as you, that have never been healed or addressed. And that's just why you are the way you are. It's not weakness, it's power. That's wisdom. It releases the story that you were intentionally and meaningfully the center of the event, when the person acting out their trauma wounds is actually the center of it. You were interchangeable in that moment. Anybody in front of them was going to get that. It was not about you. It's about them. It's hard to explain, but I've watched enough people release anger and feel like they're living lighter and happier because they have done this work. So that's why I continue to bring it into the space. You might not understand it fully, but hopefully you trust me to know that I have no agenda but your healing. Truly, I don't. I don't have any other agenda. You're not even paying me. This is a free podcast. So what do I have to gain from this? I'm not being paid by the villains to cut them slack either. Just so that we know that, like, there is no side quests over here that have anything to do with me giving certain people a pass. It's not that. When we oversimplify people, we lose the capacity for knowledge and depth, though, right? Like, I don't want people to oversimplify me either. It's an act of intellectual depth as well, to want to understand reasoning and not just judge the outside behavior. Because if bad people are just born, then any bad thing we do starts to mean we're bad too. No redemption, just punishment forever. And that's really not the narrative we need to be living in, nor is it going to help us live in like our humanness. The truth is, truly, everyone's behavior makes sense in the context of their story, even if it's not okay, even if it doesn't belong in your life, and even if it is horrific. Again, explanation is not excuse. If there's anything you take away from this podcast, I want it to be that. You can know why something happened, see the conditions that created it as valid, and still decide it was not okay. But also remembering that perhaps under different conditions, that person would not have become that villain. That's also true of many people who transgress. Many people do heal and become people who stop hurting others. That means they're human, inside is good, and that their programming was the flawed part. So why do we bother doing this? Why? Because otherwise we carry it all. The anger, the shame, the story that we must have deserved it, or that they, at the very least, they thought we deserved it. The pressure to stay bitter so we don't look like we're fine. Invalidating our own hurt. There's something weird in our society that teaches us that if we're okay after being hurt, it means it wasn't a big deal. Like, it's so ridiculous, but I hear it over and over again. Unless we carry it loudly, the pain isn't valid. But look at what that does to us. It means a lifetime of despair. For what? To prove to people who don't matter that a person was bad? For what? Right? Like that I get punished forever. No chance at living happily, so I can make sure the outside world sees that what happened is real. Right? Like, how much sense does that really make when we apply logic? When we humanize even just a little, we loosen the grip. It's not for them, it's for us. It's that trick that I talked about before, taking the personalization off of us as the target and puts the focus on the root cause of the behavior, which is them and their story and their injury, right? This is not being naive or invalidating your own pain. It's radical clarity, right? Just a tremendous act of strength and healing to be able to do this work. It's hard, but it's really worth it. So what does it really look like, right? We're just going to do it really simply. Saying, I understand where it came from, and still not responding. Feeling grief instead of rage when you think about them. Like that can even be relieving. Not needing to feel like you have to make them the villain to be justified in your distance, right? Like we don't have to do the anger cutoff all the time. We can just do the like, wow, that's not for me because, you have some unhealed shit that you're not dealing with, right? It can be softer so that you don't have to carry it with a flame. Realizing that they were operating from their wounds and still choosing not to be part of their healing, right? Like, hey, man, that sucks for you, but I'm not going to be part of this because I don't need to be in the crossfire. Sometimes it's even quieter than that. Sometimes you just have less noise in your body when their name comes up. And sometimes it's just a little bit more peace in your life. Doesn't that sound great? I'm not lying to you. This can do that for you. Truly, it can. So let's, like before we go, we have to talk about this part. And I touched on it a little bit before what if you're the villain? Yeah, we got to go there because sometimes we're not the hero in someone else's story. I know, I hate that too. Sometimes we're the one who shut down or said something cruel or disappeared or caused confusion. Maybe we weren't ready. Maybe we were scared. Maybe we were deeply unwell. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that we're irredeemable, right? When I think about, again, going back to some of the people I might have hurt when I was younger, when I didn't know better for one reason or another, it sucks. I hate it, right? Like it's the shame spiral can be real if I let it. Men I had no idea who were genuine that I didn't trust or engage deeply with because I couldn't see their authenticity. Like I literally couldn't believe in it. I can think of 2 that came to me later in life asking what happened because they couldn't understand why I wouldn't follow through. It's like painful to think about. I hate it so much because I am such a lover girl and I don't ever want to hurt anybody, but I did. Seeing them in a different light as innocently trying to be in my inner world, shut out by my trauma. Obviously, none of them were meant to be, and that's part of the healing journey, but it still blows to think about it. Like, I hate it. But, hey, I'm the villain in some people's stories. There are people I judged because I was taught to before I learned better. I cringe really hard when I think about some of the ways that I talked and thought and behaved just because that was how I was taught. I know I'm the villain in some people's stories. Maybe not aggressively, because I think sometimes people can just see that I'm not actually trying to be an asshole. But they were hurt. I'm different now. I'm so different now. And I would never want that to be held against me forever. Nor would I want any of those people to live life with anger or upset, not be able to enjoy things because of me. So I want them to humanize me. And I've helped many of them by being honest and talking to them and trying to take that away from them. But yeah, that's the point. We are all capable of what can look like villainy, even to ourselves, later in life. So try to remember that when you're exploring your own transgressions. You get to change. You get to forgive yourself. You get to learn and do better because you're not a villain either. So that was going to be that's my last point. I feel like maybe I shouldn't leave it on that, but I didn't write any more, guys, and my ad-libbing is a little bit rough today. So once again, I do want to remind you that this work is not easy. And you don't have to do it this way to heal. It's just an option that I have seen work wonders in the counseling space, truly. I know that some people do really, truly heinous things, and humanization is a stretch to achieve, and that's fine. I don't force anybody to do this work, and it's okay if you want to hold anger. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying if you don't want to, there's a way to not, right? Like there's a way to change it around so that that does not shape who you are for the rest of your life and carry your story in just a sad or a painful way. So if you trust me, which I hope you do, maybe give it a shot sometime. And I'm always going to be here if you need some help with that. So that's it for this topic today. Hopefully you made it to this point. I'm really thankful that you listened to this podcast if you did listen to this point. Take care of yourself. And as always, thank you for letting me be your guide today.
Thanks for listening. To learn more about what I do and how to work with me, head to thepsychgym.com to check it out. Keep lifting, y'all. It's worth it.